Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in. This is a short, hopefully, book haul and maybe a little bit of a life update. I haven't posted on here in a really long time. I've been so busy with just so much going on. I'm engaged now, so that's really cool. And my fiance and I bought a house. So we had to pack everything up and move, and it's kind of the new setup going on over here. And even more updates. I'm still in grad school. I'm still working on a master's in English. Nearly done. This will be my last semester and I'm so excited. I'll be wrapping up with a capstone and one more class before I'm done. And I'm still teaching. This is my second year teaching. So I'm doing high school English and I'm teaching all freshmen this semester. It'll get mixed up a little bit next semester, but it's been a very, very exciting and busy past few months. And it's been a while since I've been on here, so I thought I would just pop in and make a short little video. So first thing up, my book haul. Today I did a short little trip down the road to Books A Million, and I got a few books this time. I've been trying to get back into fantasy books, and I'm also been super busy. So I'm trying to think of more standalone stuff, or maybe it's the first in a series. And then I tried to get standalones and got first books in series. We see how well that worked out. The first book I have here today is Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I've heard really interesting things about this, that it's kind of a cozy, whimsical type of fantasy. I didn't realize it until after I picked up, but it's set in Regency, England, and we have a little bit of fae magic setting stuff going on. So it looks really neat. I did not know it was a series till after I'd already picked it up and bought it, but that's okay. I'm willing to try it, and if it doesn't work out, then that's okay too. I was kind of on the edge of whether or not I should get this book, but I think I'm just gonna at least try it, to say I tried it and try to step outside my comfort zone a little bit in terms of books I've read or trying to read. And then these two are a little bit more in common than I would think of initially. Lately, I've been trying to get into more fantasy, just a little bit more escapism. I've been on the Greek mythology retellings for a while now, and it's part of my capstone, which I will talk about later. And I kind of wanted to give something a try that wasn't going to be those dragon books. Yeah, but I saw this in the store and I thought it looked really neat. So this is the Penguin Book of Dragons. And from what I can gather from the table of contents, this is more of an exploration of dragons in different cultures, different eras in literature. And it's something that has kind of fascinated me before, is that we all come from different places, different cultures, different mythologies and histories. And yet there always seems to be some version of a dragon tale, stories and characters and animals and mythologies or histories, paintings and art. And I thought it would be neat to give this a shot. So I think this is a little bit more of a scholarly type reading. On the back, it's talking about origins in the deserts of Africa, their struggles with mortal enemies, elephants in the jungles of South Asia, and Dragon and Beowulf, who of course inspired Tolkien and The Hobbit, the Smaug, and just different cultures with somehow all tied together. We all have this animal in common. I'm really intrigued by this and thought I would give it a try, and we'll see how it goes. I've liked a lot of the other Penguin books for mythology. Whenever I've done my studies, that's usually what I'm working with, but I thought it'd be interesting to give it a try for something a little bit different. I do have one more. I've got To Shape a Dragon's Breath, and this is by Monoquill Black Goose. I hope I pronounced that right. And this is more of a fantasy novel. This is not scholarly, but I was kind of on the fence about getting this one. I'd been kind of back and forth a bit. I pursued it in like a Barnes & Noble one time, and it was shoved in the young adult. And this is not me disliking young adult books. I just felt like my taste had changed a little bit. Maybe I'd aged out of it since I'm not the target audience anymore. And so that kind of changed my opinion on whether or not I was going to get it, and that day I got something else. And this one, I found it was actually in the just sci-fi fantasy section today. I wanted to find something that would include female protagonist, something with dragons in it, but again, not like those fantasy dragon books, and I also didn't want something that was committing to too much. So I figured I would try this one. Did not know it was the first book in a series, but that's okay. I will try it out, and I haven't heard any news on a sequel yet, so maybe I have time before something else comes up for a sequel. But that was what I got today. But it's been so long since I've been on here, and I've gotten some more books since the last time I was on here. So I figured I would include a few of those as well. One of these was Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This is the British cover, or maybe the Barnes & Noble special edition cover, but I got this one specifically from Blackwell's in the UK. They always have US free shipping, by the way, so if you're like me and you want to get the UK versions of books, check them out. They're awesome. This one I've heard is kind of a cozy fantasy, and I think this would be great for the fall. Maybe something that I can get my hot cocoa with and take a breather, cuddle up under a blanket, light a few candles, and just have something to chill out, to relax, because I have been so stressed out. I just have not had the chance to read as much as I would like, and so this is one of the books that I will be trying out towards the fall, and hopefully get back into that habit of reading for my enjoyment and not just at whatever books I'm teaching or for my studies for grad school. A few more books that I recently got. These are also UK versions. These came from Blackwell's, and these are actually two different books by the same author. They are not in a series. This is Daughters of Sparta by Claire Haywood, which I believe was published first, and then The Shadows of Perseus, also by Claire Haywood. And whenever I saw that Blackwell's had versions that were both kind of the blue, very similar covers, I wanted to go ahead and get those. Got them in paperback. I've kind of found myself reaching for paperbacks more often now. Besides the fact that they're cheaper, I love that they kind of match since it's the same author. So I'm looking forward to trying these out. And another one I got recently, this is Orphea and Eurydice, and this is a gender-swapped retelling of the Orpheus and Eurydice myth. If you don't know about that myth, Orpheus and Eurydice are a couple, and Eurydice dies. Orpheus travels to the underworld and asks Hades, can he take her back with him to the mortal world so that she can live? And Hades cuts a deal that as long as he does not look back, she will follow him into the mortal world. And I won't spoil the ending for you. But I'm looking forward to this one. This is by Elise John. I haven't read a whole lot of retellings other than the ones I'm using for my research recently. And even then, I didn't get a chance to sit there and enjoy stuff. So I'm intrigued by this one. I really don't think I've seen any other retellings focusing on these two characters. So I'm looking forward to this version of the myth. And I had a few more. These are totally different, but this is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. And if you don't know, I do enjoy Ali Hazelwood novels. I do enjoy some romance books, but I generally don't always reach for them. I try to usually stay within historical fiction, mythology retellings, and I'm trying to get into more fantasy. But whenever I need a good palate cleanser, I will typically reach for kind of rom-com like stuff. And my sister read this. She stayed with me a little while ago before the school year started. She did tell me that Not in Love is a bit more serious compared to the other Ali Hazelwood novels that we've both read. At this point, I believe we have read all of Ali Hazelwood's books. I read Bride and other novels that she has. This is like my Ali Hazelwood shelf. The Love Hypothesis, Love on the Brain, Love Theoretically, and Loath to Love You, the short story collection. But I saw it, I figured I would give it a try. The only other Ali Hazelwood novel I've not read was Checkmate. And I think the only reason I didn't reach for that one is because it was YA, and I just, at this point, am preferring more of the adult fictions at this point. But that is Not in Love, and I did get it from, I think, Walmart, actually. I kind of got it whenever it released, and I thought it was really cool. It came with kind of an art print. It's in the book. It doesn't come out, but I thought it was cool it came with that. And then in a totally opposite direction, I have one more book that is a nice little paperback. This is by Milena Evans, and this is Neferura. I don't know how to pronounce it. I, along with my Greek mythology phase, went through my Egyptian mythology phase. Thank you, Rick Gordon. I got this from the Egyptian series he did that unfortunately I cannot remember the name of right now. I loved those books, and so I thought this would be really neat. The Greek mythology is definitely having its moment right now, and I think it's exciting that authors are expanding to more than just Greek mythology. I've seen a lot of medieval retellings, things like Beowulf, or even Shakespeare retellings. Lady Macbeth came out by Ava Reed pretty recently. And so I think it's cool we're moving into some Egyptian mythology as well. On that same note with historical fiction, I did get this a little while ago. It might have been before we moved into the new house. This is Leigh Bardugo's The Familiar, and if you are not familiar with this book, it is set in Spain, I believe kind of medieval Spain, but it also does have some fantasy elements thrown in. I love how the cover has the painted edges, sprayed edges, and even the end papers I think are so cool. I have not had the chance to read this, much like almost everything else lately. I was a history major in college, even though I am teaching English now. I didn't learn a whole lot about Spanish history or Spanish culture. A lot of the focus, unfortunately, in most history courses is on America or England, and even whenever you try to look for other world histories, this one looks really cool. And I don't know a whole lot about Spanish history, but I'm really intrigued by this, and I think it will be a very interesting story, but also something I can probably learn a good bit about Spanish history from. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And lastly, I would talk about my capstone before I signed off on here. I am focusing on Medea, and this is not Tyler Perry's Medea, but Greek mythology Medea, and I wanted to specifically look at retellings of her character that we've had recently published in 2024. I figured this would be a good way for me to introduce myself in the academic space, and something that probably hasn't been talked about yet. I am specifically using two retellings from this year. The first one of these is Medea by Rosie Hewlett. There we go, you can see it now. This one is published in early 2024. I'm gonna check my date just to be sure I am correct. But this is the UK edition, again, from Blackwell's. Thank you so much. Free shipping to the US. Yes, so 2024. And the US edition will be coming out in September 2024 under a different title to avoid confusion. The US version is named The Witch of Colchis. But this was one of the retellings that I am using in my research. The other one, also published in 2024, is also named Medea. And this is, I think, why we're avoiding confusion as much as possible between Rosie Hewlett's. This is by Eilish Quinn, a little bit smaller. I love the cover. I think it just looks stunning. I've decided I would focus on this after I did a project based on Salvage the Bones by Jesmyn Ward, which I actually do have on my shelf, and I'll pull it down for just a moment. All right, so Salvage the Bones, this is by Jesmyn Ward, and the main character of the book, her name is Esh. Esh includes her English homework, and it is to read Mythology by Edith Hamilton, and she really latches onto the story of Medea and her falling in love with Jason and whatever happens afterwards, which again, I won't spoil it for you. I did a project on Salvage the Bones, I think it was last fall, and I specifically wanted to look at in a closer, more zoomed in lens about Esh and her story and how she's getting connected to Medea, and why would the author use Medea for something like this. And so after doing that research, I realized there hasn't been a whole lot of talk about Medea in scholarly spaces and these retellings specifically. And I'm sure you all can see on my shelf, I have Circe and the Song of Achilles and other retellings down here. I've got Ariadne, Electra, Atalanta, and Hera. Those are all Jennifer Saint. But a lot of the retellings in this space are focused on these women who are the good girls of Greek mythology. Penelope, you also have, I do have Clytemnestra up here, but I feel like we kind of went from the good women to kind of the anti-hero gray area, morally gray characters. And then we have someone who for a very long time in Greek mythology and in literature was considered the villain of the story, even though she has an entire play named after her, which it's so interesting that we just now are getting to this character. And we're just now seeing female authors get to publish a story of feminine female rage. So these are the two I am focusing on. I'm also using Jason and the Argonauts, the original tale, and I'm using the Penguin version of that as well. And we also will have the Medea play, and that one is, of course, a bit more ancient, a little bit harder to read, but I do encourage it if you would like to know Medea's story after Jason going for the Golden Fleece. So these are the two that I'm using for my research, and I am so excited to have the chance to write about it this semester. Finally, I did a lot of research over the summer. All right, so that is all I have for you today. I hope you all have enjoyed. If you decide to stay this long, thank you. I figured I would shout out my new t-shirt. This is from Bookish Babe Designs, and she has just launched her Halloween collection. So I'm excited I can wear this to teach in at school. I hope you all have a wonderful fall, and I will see you when I see you. Thanks for watching. Bye.